the primary. It's not primary in general, so it runs on the fiscal year, not the calendar year. And we receive money from the state that can be spent on election security. So these are all of these motions that I'm going to talk about are covered by that Act 88 grant fund. So no county dollars goes out to it. And the purpose behind each of those expenditures has to relate to election security.
Thank you.
The next one would be number 8. That's a purchase from Dominion. This is a motion to purchase high-speed scanners and additional services. The scanners are the devices that we use to scan our mail-in ballots after the mail-in ballots are canvassed. So this is going to increase our capacity and allow us to have backups in case there are any hardware issues. We expect a high turnout this year, so this additional capacity should help with that and make sure that we can get our results out on time. The remainder of that contract is basically to provide additional training to our in-house teams. That would be relating to preventative maintenance of the machines to ensure that they're in working order. It relates to pre-lat testing, which is the logic testing to make sure that they are actually counting accurately, which we do before each election, and other potential hardware-related issues, and that covers both the primary and the general election for this year. The fourth item, which is number 9, this is adding additional capacity to our Runbeck mail-in ballot sorting machine. The biggest advantage is that this is going to, when we increase that capacity, we're actually going to be able to sort our mail-in ballots by precinct and keep them by precinct. So when we go through, after the election, we go through our regular, state-required post-election audit procedures, the 2% audit. We're actually, because we're going to be able to sort our mail-in ballots by precinct, we're going to be able to include all of those in that process. So when we actually audit the results of any particular precinct, it will include both election day ballots and mail-in ballots. So we felt it important to add that capacity so we could do that, just to make sure we had a more robust post-election audit procedure. And the last item I wanted to highlight would be number 10. I'm pleased to say that we have reached a tentative agreement with our bargaining units that are covered by MHIDD and drug and alcohol. We've been working with SEIU, who is their affiliate, and that bargaining unit to negotiate a new contract with them. So we were able to reach an agreement on a 3-year contract, and I'm very pleased with how we reached that agreement. It was a good process over a couple months working with those individuals. Overall, very positive. It's how every contract negotiation should go. So we're pleased with the result. The bargaining unit voted to approve that tentative agreement last week. It's going before you today for approval, and because this bargaining unit is covered under the joinder agreement with Adams County, the collective bargaining agreement will also be approved by the Adams County Commissioners, which I expect to happen in 2 weeks at their February 21st meeting. Ultimately, we have Adams County approve the contract as well, but all of the financial commitments come from York County. So I don't anticipate there being any problems with getting that approval.
Okay, great.
And that would conclude my report.
Okay. If I could maybe ask Treasurer Bayer, I know this has come up in the past, but just for the public to understand the Treasurer's Office and motion number 11, maybe just further education.
So we have multiple municipalities that have a vacancy in the position of tax collector, and so they have requested the Treasurer's Office collect their real estate taxes on their behalf. And so all the boroughs, it's mostly boroughs, but the municipalities are listed, and then also for some of them we also collect the school portions, so those would be the school districts that are listed.
Great, thank you. Okay, thanks, Greg. So we'll go back. If there's no other questions for Greg, we'll go back and open it up for a public comment as it relates to items on the agenda.
Good morning, Angie Klein, Dover Township. There's a few of us concerned about agenda items 6 through 9. We are not exactly understanding everything, but appreciate what the your administrator said. But there's some things that I'm not sure if you're aware of. Do you know that the state lost thousands of records a couple weeks ago? They lost tens of thousands, I think, of state police records, criminal records. They lost the employee retirement records. So Seth Grove is now asking for an investigation because he says that they might not be recoverable. So the more we get into the technology, the more dependent we are at the mercy of these companies that we are hiring. Each time we upgrade a software or whatever, we have IT people, I'm sure, that are supposed to know this stuff. But we have IT people in the state that lose thousands of records. Now there's people who have lost their criminal records. So when they go to court for child abuse or whatever, those records are no longer there. So now here we are coming up with new software and new, it's supposed to be security. So I'm praying it is. but also we're confused at how we've been running the meetings. I looked up some statutes, and in the PA statute 710A, it says the board or the authority is supposed to have provide reasonable opportunity at each advertised regular meeting, which is what this would be, and for residents, which I'm a resident of the political subdivision or of the authority created by the political subdivision, or for taxpayers, which I'm a taxpayer of the political subdivision or of the authority created. So, and then it goes on to say both to comment on matters of concern, official action, or deliberation which are or may be before the board or council prior to taking official action, which is now. But then it goes on to say that we are supposed to have ample time, and if there isn't ample time, which you cut us off when we're trying to talk, and we don't see you guys deliberating. We come in, you've put all these on the agenda item, and see, and now you're going to say up or down of all these items. We have not seen any deliberation, but it's supposed to be deliberation and questions and comments. So that's just something that we want to put it on notice that you guys know that that's in the law, in the statute. And then the agency, which includes a listing of each matter which you have done. So some of the things I think you're following, but we would like to see an open discussion. And just bring it before us so that we know that you guys are aware of what these issues are. Thank you.
Good morning, Virginia Schultz, York Township. There are reasons why there should be an investigation. It's very clear that voter confidence in our election process has further deteriorated. Now that the evidence clearly exposes the electronic devices, the Dominion machines, it is very clear that these Dominion machines are corruptible and is corrupted. What three things could be investigated so that the 2024 election would not be repeated as an error as happened in November 2020? We, the people, the voters, are supposed to be given the right to a free, fair, and honest election. What will you be doing to prevent another 2020? Destroying and crumbling voter confidence. Let's say that in November 2024 the numbers have flipped. Is fraud evident? What actions can be taken before the election is falsely certified? Being present, observing, I had a number of concerns before the certification went through. Those concerns, I aired some with Julie Hurst. I have a question. If you were at the Central Counting Center in November and watched what was happening with the write-ins being discarded, right before the solicitor had a chance to view them, what would you have done? According to Title 25. Listen to this concern. The Pennsylvania Attorney General's office has ruled that the CVR count vote records were not subject to open records request because it provides the means to potentially identify a specific ballot with a specified voter. The vendor of the machines has assured this would never be possible because the software was supposed to juggle the CVR to be distributed for review so that this was not possible. Subsequently, a group of university computer science doctoral students found that the algorithm that was supposed to scramble the CVR was defective, and someone with intense computer skills could indeed restore the code and the order and the records in the original sequence. Dominion claims to have rectified this problem. If the defect has been cured, but the state continues to claim they cannot distribute the CVR on this same basis, is the state saying that the machines remain defective?
Carla Byerly, Warrington Township. Regarding Agenda Item 8, I would like to understand what specific election support services you are seeking from Dominion and what is the cost breakdown between those services and the 4 additional optical scanners. I would also like to read excerpts from an email I sent to Julie Hirsch after reviewing the adjudication process following the November 23 general election as it relates to Dominion scanners at the precincts. This incident occurred on November 15, 2023. Throughout the week, the other observers and I saw multiple write-in votes that were, according to Casey, allegedly written in blue ink, which resulted in illegible images from the precinct scanners that were not legible on the screen. As per Casey's direction, these votes were quarantined with the understanding that they would be held for solicitor review to make a final determination. I was quite shocked when none of those illegible votes were brought to the solicitor's attention. When I asked Casey about them, his response was that he adjudicated them himself and made a determination of voter intent. This was done without any oversight or review. From my observation, I do not believe determining voter intent was possible. I continue to question whether those votes were counted at all or simply marked as unresolved and discarded in the trash. I suggested the only way to make a confident determination of voter intent would be to pull the physical ballots. Casey's immediate reply was that that was not an option due to time constraints and mathematical impossibility. It is egregious that a single county worker acting without any oversight from other witnesses or solicitor review would adjudicate illegible votes. How does that serve the voters, their legally cast votes, and the candidates, simply because pulling the physical ballot is inconvenient or deemed unnecessary by a county employee who serves the public? Furthermore, Casey had set a clear example and precedent for his very inexperienced successors prior to what will surely be a contentious and chaotic 2024 election year. It is the lawful duty of the county to count every legally cast ballot. Casey expressed on multiple occasions his disdain for voters who do not use the provided Sharpie markers. As I'm sure you are well aware, there are many voters who simply do not trust Sharpie markers due to bleed-through. And we actually saw a ballot where bleed-through did affect the prothonotary contest and caused an overvote. A screenshot of this ballot was taken and is on file. It is my understanding that mail-in ballots are scanned at the county with higher DPI scanners and therefore present no issues when blue pens are used. Voters who choose to exercise their right to vote in person at their precinct should not be penalized because they legally choose to use a different writing implement than what the county recommends. From what I observed, I do not believe all votes were counted properly. Certifying a final vote count that is incomplete for the sake of expediency or otherwise is an affront to the democratic process. The people of York County deserve better.
Any other public comment?
Matthew Smith, Manhunt Township. Sorry, I just got my voice back. I just wanted to comment on consent agenda A1 and 2, just to add on what Mr. Dahl was saying earlier about CYF budgets and things like that. That actually comes from state appropriations. So even though the state pays that budget, they don't help with recruiting. So I don't know the numbers exactly, but we're 50 to 60% capacity on social workers right now for the county. So we still need like 20 or 30 more. So the ones we have, they are overworked. It's, mailboxes full all the time, trying to get back to people. And yeah, so we just got to keep advocating for their mental health as well, and trying to get more resource families as well, because there's a big shortage there too. So I just thought I'd bring awareness to that. That's still an issue. It is state appropriations, but they do not help with recruiting and employment. So anybody who actually watches these, go to the county website and the listings are on there. Thank you. That's all I have.
So just to clarify, that we do get state funding, but in our budget process, for example, for 2024, the budget we passed, we do not get fully funded from the state. So the county is on the hook for $27 million to cover the unfunded mandates by the state. So yeah, we get some money, but not all of it. So I just want to make sure. Yeah. Any other public comment? Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda items for the Office of Children, Youth, and Families.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We'll move on to new business.
I make a motion to approve items 1 through 12.
A second motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. There were no executive sessions since our last meeting. As far as other business, just want to mention, if you haven't seen the information out in the media, the county commissioners, in conjunction with the Cultural Alliance of York, have launched an I Voted sticker contest. This contest is for K through 12 students to submit a drawing design for the I Voted sticker. This will run through the end of April. A design will be selected in each different age group, and those designs that are selected will be used for the I Voted sticker in the general election of this year and the primary election of next year. So if you know a student who's got some artistic and creativity abilities, please encourage them to send their design in. They can find more information on both our website and the website for the Cultural Alliance of York. I will open it up for any other public comment.
Virginia Schultz, York Township. You have heard over the period of the last several meetings our concern about putting towers over facilities where children congregate, where children are to be educated. Our concern is very grave. There's lots of money that you distribute for mental health in this county. So to undo that by putting towers at the YMCA, the YWCA, and these schools is almost unconscionable. If the corporations want them, put them at Harley-Davidson, put them at York Container, put them at Giant, or put them at the municipalities or at our U.S. post offices. They're public property. Let's use our minds to protect the minds and health of the children who need an education, not a disruption in their mental processes. Let's put our money where it's going to be helpful, not where it's going to hurt. Please take that into consideration, though I know you've already passed it. We're asking you to reverse that. Thank you.
Any other public comment? state your name and municipality. Thank you.
Certainly. Good morning. My name is Beth Kern. I'm an attorney with the CGA Law Firm, and I'm also a resident of Manchester Township. I'm here this morning on behalf of my colleague, Craig Charnetska, and our client, who's represented here today by their member, Richard Massey, particularly MassFab Properties LP, which is a property within Manchester Township. We're here this morning to respectfully ask, under the Sunshine Act, Section 712.1D, that the commissioners consider business arising during the meeting, here during the public comment, regarding some quitclaim deeds that we have been in communication with the county, but we are unsure if the commissioners are aware, between the county and my client, that would effectively correct a scrivener error in previous deeds. And we're here to ask you to amend the agenda pursuant to that section, as we believe that this item is de minimis, does not require an expenditure of funds, and does not include a contract or an agreement. I do have copies of the pursuant section and the statutory support for our request, as well as the proposed deeds that we have provided to the county. I will be happy to distribute them to the commissioners and the solicitor if you would entertain that.
Sure, you can give them to the solicitor.
Thank you for considering our request.
Any other public comment? Okay, if I could have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are adjourned, and we will move on to salary board.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the January 31st, 2024 salary board as submitted.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'll open up for any public comment as relates to agenda items. Hearing none. We can move on to item number 4.
Make a motion to approve the positions, salaries, hours of work, and fringe benefits as provided by existing collective bargaining agreements or as set forth in the York County Employee Handbook or York County Policy Manual for the following departments and row offices as stated below, with no additional benefits or concessions as otherwise noted, and there is listed in the agenda.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There were no executive sessions since our last meeting. I will open it up again for any public comments. Seeing none, if I could have a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone, and enjoy this beautiful day in February.